Manistee County, hello. We're back again with Politics is Local. And I'd just like to take a few minutes to tell you about some things that are going to be happening here in the month of September that I hope that you'll be able to take advantage of. The first thing I'd like to talk to you about is we have petitions to put ranked choice voting on the ballot in November of 2026. Ranked choice voting gives us the opportunity to have more than two parties and you to make a decision as to how you want to rank the people running for office. It prevents people from getting into office with less than 50% of the vote. You don't win unless you get a majority, and I believe that's the way our democracy really needs to work, and I hope you do too. So please stop by the office down here at 319 River Street and sign the petition, specifically for those of you in Manistee County. And we're really grateful to all of those who have signed so far. We've had almost 100 people sign already, and we've accumulated almost 200,000 signatures statewide. That's towards the 600,000 signatures that we need to get this on the ballot. So we're making progress, and we're going to have a big weekend coming up here on Labor Day. But really, it's time for you to get down here and sign the petition. We really appreciate that. The other thing I'd like to make you aware of, on Saturday, September 13th, we're going to have the Don Jennings Award Dinner. That's going to be held starting at 6 o'clock at the Manistee National Golf Resort, just south of town, in the big white tent. And at this is the 22nd Don Jennings Award that we've given out. And this year, it goes to a well-deserved person, Dick Albee, for all the work he's done, for social justice here in Manistee County. And we're also going to have a silent auction, and you're going to get a chance to hear from some of our statewide candidates. We've got Chris Swanson, who is currently the sheriff in Genesee County, which encompasses Flint. Chris is an amazing speaker, and he's running for governor. And we're also going to have Haley Stevens. Haley is a U.S. representative from the Lansing area, and Haley has thrown her hat in the ring to run for U.S. Senate, replacing Gary Peters. And Haley, I'll tell you this, from personal work with her, she is a fire bringer. It's going to be fantastic to listen to her. On top of that, we just found out that leader of the Michigan State Senate, Winnie Brinks, will be here. And she's going to tell us a lot about what's going on or not going on right now, to be truthful, in the legislature in Lansing. So if you want to get tickets for it, you can go to the Manistee County Dems website. We take your credit card there to buy the tickets. But if at the last minute you decide you want to come, you're going to be welcome. We welcome you. Walk up and join us on Saturday, September 13th to honor Dick Albee. So that's basically it. How about you, Nate? You got anything you want to talk about?
Well, we do a protest every Saturday at noon. We call it a pop-up protest. We're out there for 45 minutes. It's at US 31 and 1st Street at the intersection there by the gas station under the stoplight. We're out there every Saturday at noon. Please come join us.
Outstanding. Outstanding. We've had a good group of people, and by the way, I think we have 95% plus positive response back from the folks driving by.
So many people are honking their horns. We get a couple of thumbs down, but the majority of people are blowing their horns and pumping their fists for us. It's a really good experience.
Absolutely. Hope you can join us on Saturday at 12 noon, right?
Yeah.
Well, Nate, why don't you introduce our guest today?
Sure. Today we have Chip Johnston. He is the Executive Director of Centra Wellness. He is here today to talk about a proposed privatization of mental health services in Michigan. And we've been discussing this, and it's something that is so important for people to know about. We really need to get the word out there, and we're glad to have him here today.
Thank you for having me. I
Absolutely.
appreciate the opportunity to explain what's going on. So, thank you.
Will you throw the first question?
Yeah. So can you just tell us a little bit about a brief summary of maybe this privatization that you're trying to get the word out about?
Sure. And maybe even where we're at today a little bit, how it works. So right now, the state of Michigan for Medicaid, which is about 85% of my funding, was pooled into regions for the purposes of helping each other out. So the 21 counties in the north came together in one of these, they called the prepaid inpatient health plans. And it's through the state mental health code allows for this coming together of communities to pool money and to expend resources on services. We've had this system since 2002, various iterations of it, and the current one started in 2014. So we've been at it for 11 years in the current configuration. So the department has decided sometime in February to issue a notice that they were looking at bidding out the system and opening it up to a competitive bid. Prior, it was basically an exemption under federal waivers because the state of Michigan and how it's arranged for folks that are disabled. And community mental health was formed in 72 and 74 to provide mental health services in the community and away from the state with the purpose of moving folks out of state institutions. We had about 30,000 people in state institutions at the time. We're now down to less than 1,000 total. And so that service being brought to the counties was a partnership between the state and the county and has been ever since. The county kicks in a little money, the state leverages their money, and then we get the federal dollars to provide the services. My budget, just for example, is about $20 million, of which 18 million or so is Medicaid. So the state of Michigan basically moved from its general funds to the use of Medicaid dollars to leverage more services. It was a really good thing. What this proposes to do is to move the management of that money from a governmental entity to put it out to competitive bid, and which would allow private insurance companies such as Blue Cross Blue Shield or pick your health plan, Medicaid health plan in Michigan to bid. And the bid is to collapse the Upper Peninsula. They have their own system like we have, and our system together into one. And we're very concerned about it for a lot of reasons, because privatization, if the dollars leave and go to a private health plan, there's county local matching monies that'll be lost, and I don't know where the state's going to come up with that. And also the fact that there'll be, my service array will change from a prevention focused to a fee-for-service mother may I typical insurance approach, and we kind of know how that goes. So
What would these changes do to mental health services like peer support services like we have at the Manistee Friendship Society here in town? What would happen to stuff like that?
yeah, the bid out proposes that I will no longer be able to hold independent contracts. Right now, within Manistee and Benzie counties, which is Centra Wellness is Manistee and Benzie County, I coordinate on behalf of the client all the service needs that they need. So when they fall into my eligibility category, I then will arrange for residential, peer supports, everything that person needs, and I will try to bring in contractors, and if I can't find contractors to do it, I do it myself. I am the last person, I can't say no to anybody that's eligible, so I have to find that service, and peer support would be something similar to that. I would then have to, I have that service available because there's no one else providing it currently, but I would then have to seek approval from this insurance company to pay for it. Right now, I'm able to pool all of my funds to provide that service to an individual. So a peer support, for example, someone comes in, they're not on Medicaid, they're on general funds. I have very little general funds. I can work with that person through a peer support, through my local dollars and county monies, to get them on Medicaid to then pay for that peer support on an ongoing basis. In the future, I won't have that ability to work with the person. I will now have to say, I'm sorry, until you individually as a consumer get Medicaid, I can't help you. And then if you do get Medicaid, the health plan for the UP and the new region will have to assign you who that provider is going to be.
Doing that is very difficult for a lot of people.
Yes, and most people are severely mentally ill. They're challenged as it is, and to navigate a Medicaid application is very difficult.
Yeah.
We have case managers that work specifically on that, and we work with the local DHHS here, which is a wonderful local DHHS. They work with us hand in hand to get people enrolled in Medicaid and to resolve problems when people come off of Medicaid. So when someone in our service comes off of Medicaid, we then can catch them, work with them, get them back on. In the future, under this arrangement, when they come off, I have to stop any services that have been authorized. They then have to independently go and figure it out.
Would this affect housing for people with mental illnesses?
It wouldn't directly affect housing, but it would affect all the supports around them.
The support and the housing?
Yes, so the local, in fact, I talked to the Northwest Michigan Community Action Agency Tuesday of this week to explain to them all the services around the people that they're working to maintain their housing or to get housing will fall by the wayside. We often will help people with the applications, make the connection to the Northwest Michigan housing folks to make it happen. We coordinate that care for them, and that will be gone.
Okay.
Chip, the main thing I just heard you say is, when somebody comes to you with a mental health issue need, you say you can't say no.
Right.
But if this changes to a privately held insurance company, they're known for saying no.
Yes.
The first thing out of their mouth is no.
Yep.
And I can't imagine how someone who is struggling with mental illness, with challenges like that, is going to be able to fight against that. Is going to be able to say, stand up, and it's going to be hard enough.
Yeah.
This just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, let alone the intellectually disabled.
Yeah.
Developmentally disabled. We have, for example, we've had a client who came out of long-term care, and we have been working with the department for almost 6 months now to try to get that person back into Medicaid. Back and forth and back, and that's with the assistance of the local. Can you imagine somebody that's hearing voices or having family issues or housing issues? What will happen is essentially they'll fall off of that. My general funds from the state of Michigan for mental health services, I was looking at it this morning.
Right.
In 1980, we got $1.9 million. That's to just take care of people. In today's money, that's $8 million. I now have less than $1 million. I have $750,000. And an inpatient stay at a psychiatric unit is $1,500 a day. That's going to be gone like that. The other piece that's very disconcerting is the local interface with the courts and the sheriff. So someone's now floating around. I can't get authorization. They can't get the Medicaid. I am now going to be limited in this bid out to only doing pre-admission screenings to inpatient care. The reason we do that is because it was horribly abused back in the day. Folks would, they would have wives that were misbehaving or not following the teachings of the church or whatever it may be. They would put them into the inpatient unit. They created us for protections independent of the petitioner to say, yes, this person is truly mentally ill, and yes, they need to go in. The follow-up to that is court involvement, court-ordered pickups, court-ordered treatments. All of that is now being shifted to this thing, wherever it may be. So our court system will call me now, right now. In the future, they'll have to call someone else if they're on Medicaid. And if they call me and they're on general funds, I have to triage whether I'll serve them or not.
Chip, help me understand. Everything I see that you're doing for people that they don't have a lot of money. They don't have a lot to pay. Why would a privately owned business want to get engaged in something like this? Well,
there's big profit margins for them. So that leads into our system. Because we're a public system, we have to spend every dollar, and what we don't have, we give back to our region, who then helps others who overspend. And if there's still any left, we send it back to the state and they leverage the money. The overhead for all of this is about 3%. Okay, they get, for coordinating all that, they get to keep about 3% of the total Medicaid. To a private organization, the reason they would take it on is our system is about $4 billion statewide total. And they would get to keep 15% off the top under what's called medical loss ratio without penalty. That means $500 million will be siphoned off to admin or an additional 12% cut to me. And it goes straight in their pocket, no questions asked,
Yeah.
into the shareholders.
Hence the reason that government should not be run like a business.
Yes, especially for very vulnerable populations who would otherwise be in the state institution.
Yeah.
So the privatization laws we're discussing here, they claim to simplify the system, reduce bureaucracy, reduce administrative burdens and costs. Do you find that to be true?
I do not. Based on the read of the RFP, it's actually going to increase it tenfold. They have, because of our current system, they have a lot of monitors and they're watching out because it's a vulnerable population, and we absorb that. They're taking what we're currently doing and adding on much more. So, for example, the authorization piece, the contract piece, if I need someone in residential, right now I just get it. In the future, I'll have to go up and seek authorization, do the coordination. It's going to be an administrative nightmare.
Right.
And I won't have the staff to do it.
What's the public perception of this? What is the opinion of people that you're talking to? Do people like this, or?
It's really interesting. The state of Michigan did a kind of a quiet survey. There's 300,000 people statewide that are in the mental health system, plus or minus. They kind of did a snap quiet survey, got about 2,600 responses. And from that response, most of them were community mental health or providers. And some of the providers downstate in particular are having difficulties with their CMHs, and they don't like having multiple contracts, which I get from that perspective. And so they globbed onto that small minority of the 2,600 that responded. So it was so quick, and they actually put limits on it. We tried to have like the Manistee Friendship Center participate in that, which is our local support network that prevention of mental health. They would not allow them in because they said that had to be from IP addresses from individuals. Well, the problem is our individuals, some of them don't even have computers.
They don't have
Right.
computers. Yeah.
And so we tried to set it up with the local friendship center to allow them to have a voice, and they excluded them.
Well, Chip, I can tell you, as a member of the public, I knew nothing about this
Yeah,
until today.
yeah,
And I find it to be abhorrent. I find it terrible.
yeah.
We need to get the word out. And hopefully this podcast is going to do that.
That's why I'm so thankful you guys have allowed me this opportunity to get the word out. To your point, they are running this so fast. We knew something was coming, but we didn't know the details until the first week of August. And now they want it done and submitted by the end of September.
But if I understand right, your organization is able to respond to this request for proposal. So you're submitting,
We're going to try to submit
Yeah.
something, yes.
and the way the request for proposal is written, are there things in there that are difficult for you to comply with?
Yeah,
Or,
I believe so. We're currently talking with attorneys, and I'm willing to tell even the department that, because in the bid out itself, it strips the statutory obligations of the counties through me to provide mental health care under the mental health code and gives it to this entity. Even if we as the two regions win the bid, I'm still opposed to that. And the Manistee County Commission is opposed to that. The Benzie County Commissioners are opposed to that. We have counties in the Upper Peninsula, Chippewa County are now opposed to that. We're getting them quickly on board because they understand that the powers and duties under state law that I have currently are now going to be given to something. Whether it's us or something else, I'm still opposed to that. Now, when we bid, we may try to water it down, but that's today. I don't know who's going to be there tomorrow running the
Yeah.
shop, and I can't trust that.
What can be done to stop this? What actions are in place to stop this?
Yep, political, get a hold of your state reps, get a hold of the governor, say, what in the world? Get a hold of the Democratic Party in the state. What is going on? You're in a big crank to overturn something that's been in place since 1972 and 74. You're going to do that in 2 months? Can we sit down and look at this? Because there's been attempts to privatize and streamline. I'm not going to say that CMHs are like, wonderful, because some are not. And that has been up to the locals to fix, and that has been done. And that ability is there. That ability will be lost in this new thing. You're gonna throw the baby out with the bathwater. So it's like, please sit down and talk to us.
And you mentioned this a little, but how will public oversight, which there's some public oversight of mental health, how will that change?
Yeah, right now, for example, my board has the public oversight. They're appointed by the county commissioners. A third of the board has to be primary consumers, people in services or have had services, and people who have family members in services. So they have the client perspective. Another third is the county commission. How do I interface with the sheriff department? How do I interface with local law enforcement, the city police, et cetera, the judiciary? And then another third is the citizens. So I have that oversight, as well as reporting to the county commissions in both counties. They have oversight. If there's a long history of CMHs that have gone afoul and not paid attention to the sheriff's needs or the county commission needs, and they have taken care of the CEO to change direction of that local CMH. I had a parent come in, talk to my board directly and myself about their concerns regarding Medicaid cuts coming and what that means for their ward, their brother, and so I can respond directly. All of that will now go to this thing. Somebody will come to me, or the county commissions will come to me, and they will no longer have the authority to change my behavior, because now I'm responding to this thing I need to get authorization from. Most importantly, and at the most dangerous core of this, is that whole interface with inpatient care and trying to get that and working with the courts. If I don't have authorization to work with that person, that ain't gonna be me. And that also is gonna be lost. The courts have some oversight and sway with me. We have this interplay. So that is all going, for 80% of my business, to something else.
Chip, just a couple of points. The folks that'll be watching this, we use too many acronyms, in my opinion, in our lives. So CMH is Community Mental Health.
Yes.
And we have DHSS, Department of Health.
And Human Services.
DHHS,
Yes.
Department of Health and Human Services. And those are our governmental entities. DHHS is, again, and you work with that
Yep.
organization now.
Yep.
The budget has just come out, the Republican end of it in Lansing yesterday. How does that end up affecting your work?
Yeah, the budget that came out yesterday, and in a quick analysis,
Yep.
and some read this morning, cuts our budget 13%, or the Department of Health and Human Services behavioral health line 13%. In Michigan, because we have a public system, there is healthcare Medicaid and our Medicaid, behavioral health Medicaid. They cut behavioral health Medicaid 13%. For me, that's going to be rough. Well, it's going to be about $2 million cut.
Well,
So I have a $20 million budget, 10%, $2 million plus. And what will happen there is, because of the way we're funded on a monthly basis by the number of Medicaid citizens in both Manistee and Benzie counties that comes to me every month as a lump sum. I'm then able to navigate within the Medicaid behavioral health benefit to make things happen. And my organization has spent an enormous amount of time leveraging that money through prevention programs with schools. So the MAPS and us, Onakama, K&D, Bear Lake, we all have agreements to provide what we call safe net workers in the school, prevention.
yeah.
And we don't care who comes to us, whether they're Medicaid, general funds, or whatever, because of the mix, that will be gone. I won't be able to be preventative. I'll be chasing illness again,
All right.
which takes us back 30 years when I started. I've been here 36 years. When I started, I remember my boss telling me, Chip, you need to bill and see that person 5 times. I go, what if they don't need to see me 5 times? Nope, you need to bill. I don't want to go there again. Right now, I can be very flexible about how I spend my money and make things happen and prevent illness. I was telling Nate, I had the state of Michigan one time send me a letter saying, Chip, Manistee Benzie CMH's, because we used to be Manistee Benzie CMH's inpatient stays are a quarter of what the region's is. Is that a true reflection of your community, or is that a data anomaly? It's because we have huge prevention programs, both for kids and seniors. We get to them before they go in.
Yeah. And that's the way to run the railroad.
Yeah, right.
Prevention.
Right.
But again, it's, as you said, it doesn't make as much money.
Nope, and it's hard to prove.
So, this is just mind-boggling. And everything you're talking about right now with the cuts, that does not include, I assume, the cuts to Medicaid that are coming in 2027.
Yes.
From the big ugly bill.
Right.
That was passed in July.
Right.
So you're being cut now,
That's the proposal.
and there's even more coming.
Yep.
And this is going to be more of a challenge in the future,
Yep.
even if it's privatized. And when things are cut in a private organization, the first thing that happens is we got to cut people. We got to cut the overhead.
Yep.
And so you're going to end up doing less with more.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was explaining to Nate, back in '02, we had 159 employees. And the state reorganized and started this, what we're in now. We had to cut 27% of our budget, and we went down to 89 employees. I built it back up to 110 and plus contractors. So we're almost back to where we were. 18 years later, or whatever it is, 25 minus '02, so 23 years later. You know, it's just, it's something. So, yeah, go ahead.
So what I hear you saying is you've cut full-time employees, full-time equivalents, FTEs, as they refer to it, and you've contracted out already things, but these are contracts that are managed by you locally.
Yes.
So you have contact, feedback, reports.
Performances.
Yeah.
Why is this person wandering in Manistee and causing problems? We can get with that provider and the police and say, what are you doing? And if we need to, we can take that back over.
Yeah.
In the future, we will have no say over that in this proposal. And if I may, I'd like to talk about those cuts that in the big, beautiful bill.
Please.
What I see happening there is all the supports around us that we rely on, again, we're prevention focused, are going to go. Most of which is going to be the Healthy Michigan piece. That's the expansion. And in Michigan, it manifests itself as Healthy Michigan. That will essentially be cut in half. So they'll have to make a decision on that. Are they going to keep it, or are they going to cut the benefit? And the folks in that category now come to me, but prior, they were under what are called our general funds. And again, that was not a benefit, and only I would serve them if I had the money. Our mental health system gave up 2/3 of our state general funds to make Healthy Michigan happen. It was like $230 million to draw down the Medicaid. That will go, and that general fund dollars likely will never come back to us.
Well, it kind of fits right in with what we know about Project 2025. Project 2025, if you read all 937 pages of it, basically has one thing running through it all. It's called You're On Your Own.
Yeah, right. And you want disabled people to be on there.
Disabled people don't even own boots, let alone pull themselves up by their bootstraps.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the nights have been rather sleepless lately.
Well, Chip, I'd like to thank you for coming in here today. This is so important for us to talk about, and I really appreciate you getting out there, trying to get the word out about this. And we're going to do whatever we can. We're going to write our Michigan politicians and do whatever we can to stop this.
Greatly.
You've got our commitment. When there's a lot of organizations right here that we're collaborating with in Manistee County, that we'll get going on this, because this is important. This is just wrong.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for letting us know, making us aware of this, because again, it's kind of been gone in the shadows, and nothing should be that way,
Right.
you know,
Right.
especially for the people that need it the most.
Yeah, thank you guys so much, you know, that whatever you can do will help people on the ground who need the help. That's the main thing. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.